Since Christmas, Arctic air has built into the northern plains, and it has lingered for quite some time. A fairly long cold snap, not record-breaking length, but certainly some very cold weather. With this Arctic air of recent days has come a number of Arctic snowfalls. By that I mean that dry, fluffy snow. It piles up like this, it drifts like crazy, but there isn't much moisture in it. So actually at this point in time, although many areas of like North Dakota, Minnesota, for example, in particular, have had fairly significant snowfalls, there has not been a significant so far, amount of water in that snow. So the outlook for example, Red River Valley flooding or spring wetness has not really changed that much. The moisture certainly has been good in the snow, but it's not that much. Now, the Arctic air has retreated or is in the process of retreating a little bit this week coming up, but it does look like some semblance of it will return before too much time goes by. Here we are on the first day on Sunday. The colder weather will be dissipating, going north back up toward Hudson Bay and actually shifting more toward eastern Canada and the Maritimes as the big trough of low pressure, which was in the middle of the country, now shifts to New England. You're going to see some lake effect snows downwind to the Great Lakes. You're going to see some sub-zero air getting up into northern New England. Rest of the east, a little bit cooler, except for South Florida, South Texas, and the usual spots in the Southwest. Keep in mind this is January, so for most of the U.S. to be fairly cool, or in terms of cold, below freezing, is hardly unusual this time of year. What is a little strange is the Arctic air kind of departing the state of Alaska this time of year, but keep an eye on that. It will likely be back. As we go through the week, the frigid weather does make a little bit of a shift back towards central Canada, and by this weekend, a lot of the United States will be below freezing. And then as we move into next week, as I said, a shift of this frigid weather back to the west. I look for some ridging along the western part of North America, which will try to displace some cold air down south again, so that by the middle of the month, I do think there will be some very cold weather back into at least the northern part of the northern plains and central Canada. Whether it will be as cold as this most recent round of Arctic air, that remains to be seen. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Precipitation, after all the snow in the northern plains in late December and early January, this week of the 9th through 15th looks pretty dry. There will be some significant rain coming up into Texas. And the second week of this forecast, there will be some clipper weather, probably light to moderate snows moving out into the northern plains as the cold weather begins to surge back. Still rainy weather from Texas along the Gulf Coast and most of Southern California. It does look like will remain fairly dry.